everyone, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So today we are going to discuss Summer Wells. I haven't talked about her on my channel yet because I've only recently started covering this type of content. And I'm still going to continue my other content, my cooking, my makeup looks, my SFX makeup looks, my projects, things like that, our day-to-day, our Disney trips, all of that. But I still want to intersperse this stuff in there because I think it's so important to talk about these kids and these missing people. And you know I don't get a lot of views, not a lot of people rush to my channel, but you know, it only takes one person to see, you know, one person, you know what I mean? One person can make a difference. So anyway, so we're going to talk about Summer Wells today. Summer Moon Utah Wells was born in 2016 to Candace and Don. The couple already had 3 sons, and I was trying to find their ages. I couldn't really find the ages of the sons. But, you know, Summer liked playing in the mud, fishing, getting dirty. But she was also like doing girly things too. Like she loved Frozen and, you know, dancing and stuff like that. And but Summer had a shaved head. And her parents gave varying reasons why. First, Mom said she wanted her head shaved like her brothers and Mom. Summer's father said it was shaved because it was becoming unruly. My hair's been unruly before as a child and it was never shaved, so I don't know how they conclude that that's the answer, but to each his own. He also said she shaved her own head. And I only bring the shaved head up because it is something that was a point of concern for some people. Some people thought it was weird. So that's the only reason I bring that up. Their home was located on Ben Hill Road in Beech Creek. This is an unincorporated town in Hawkins, Tennessee. An unincorporated town is a community outside of the jurisdictional boundaries of an incorporated city, and it's not governed by municipal corporation, so it's not, you know, there's no, it doesn't have a local government. They don't have their own emergency services. They don't have their own fire department, their own police department. I don't believe they have like their own like garbage and sanitation. I don't believe any of that's included. And typically they do not have elected officials. I guess going back to that, they don't have local government. I grew up in a town that was unincorporated, although it is claimed that that town I grew up in was incorporated in 1909. That's not true, but that's a story for another day. But they insist it was incorporated in 1909, but we'll just talk about that some other time. The family owns a very large piece of land. Dawn said the town they live in is pretty crime-ridden. And not very safe. Like there's a lot of drugs and a drug gang and things like that, a lot of theft and things like that, you know, things like that going on around there. There's at least one drug gang and they have experienced property theft. According to Dawn, there's pretty scuzzy people living around them. But the more I dived into this, I mean, they're a part of that group because they have issues of their own, let's just say that. On June 15th, 2021, the Wells started off having a normal day. Dawn went to work as usual, and Candace claims that she and Summer took Candace's mother, Candy, to the doctor. Well, I guess she didn't claim it. It did happen. Her mother is Candy. Candy went in for her appointment while Candace and Summer waited in the car. Now this is Candace's story. Candace received a phone call from her neighbor, Hunter. Hunter is the 15-year-old son of Allie, whom she used to be close to, like used to be close to Candace, but they apparently stopped being friends. But anyway, Hunter wanted to know what they were doing for the day and asked them if they wanted to come over. So they did. You know, they were waiting for Candy to be finished with her doctor appointment. They went over to Hunter's. I mean, how long was that appointment going to be? I guess some people wait a long time for medical care. But anyway, I don't know. I just know I'm pretty spoiled here. So as far as medical care goes, to some degree. Hunter went with Candace and Summer to pick Candy up. And Candy had a prescription, so they took it to the pharmacy and were told it would take about 30 minutes to fill. To kill time, Candace decided to go to a swimming hole called Warriors Path State Park. Now, these next details are extra important as they'll be different stories. Candace said they made 2 stops on the way. The first stop was at a smoke shop, and next they stopped at a CBD shop, a hippie house or something like that. And once they arrived at the park, Summer went in the water, and according to Candace, Hunter walked into the woods by himself. A bit later, Hunter came out of the woods and went in the water. After swimming, they were heading back to the pharmacy, but made 2 more stops. First, they stopped at Sonic, and then they stopped at a grocery store. Now, Candace said they were in and out in less than 10 minutes. And afterwards, Candace took Hunter home. And Hunter has a different version of events. According to Hunter, Candace texted Hunter that day. And then after he received the text, he called Candace and asked them to come over during the appointment. Per Hunter, Candace told him her 3 sons were with their dad at work. Candace claims she never said that and that the boys stayed home. Also, in Candace's version, she never mentions texting Hunter first. I guess they could have easily had the records checked, but, I don't know that was done by police or whoever. I don't know how important that information really is, and you'll see as I continue with the story. Hunter said he went with them to pick Candy up at the hospital. Then, as in Candace's version, they went to the pharmacy, and Dawn calls Candace while they are at the pharmacy. And Candace did mention that in her version of the story as well, that Dawn called to check in. But in Candace's version of the story, or in what's this kid's name? In Hunter's version of the story, Dan called to tell her about a strange man that was hanging out at their property and had been for over a week, and that he kept trying to touch the kids. Weird, because why would he call during his work day about that? It seems like something they should have already talked about, like at home, like, oh yeah, I just remembered this. It doesn't make any sense. I think Hunter is a little full of it. Somebody's full of it. But Candace said Hunter's claims are untrue, and Dawn backs up Candace's story. Also, Hunter said they only made 1 stop on their way to the park, to the smoke shop. At the park, Hunter claims he asked Candace for a Twisted Tea and a vape pen, which she purchased at the vape shop. And according to Hunter, she gave them to him, but Candace denies this. Hunter also said he jumped in the water because, per his claim, Summer had been underwater for 10 to 12 seconds, several seconds, and he wanted to make sure she was okay. But Candace said that did not happen. Hunter also said they stopped at Hippie House, the CBD shop, after swimming. Then they went to the pharmacy, Sonic, and the grocery store. But Hunter said they were at the grocery store for an hour, and Hunter is dropped off at his house after that. Candace said once they got home, and I'm not sure why the inconsistencies between the 2 stories matter, except for the thing about the guy being on their property trying to touch the kids, which seems odd, and it seems like it didn't really, just in all I've read and watched about this case, it seems like that didn't really have much gravity. Candace said once they got home, she had her boys come out and help carry the bags in. But how could they do that if they were at work with their dad? Which, again, takes away credibility from Hunter's story. Candace, Candy, and Summer were working in the garden, and Summer wanted to go back in the house. So Candace walked her halfway to the house and watched her as she walked the rest of the way to the house and watched her go inside on her own. And just a couple minutes later, Candace went back to her house and she couldn't find Summer anywhere in the house. Candace panicked, called Dawn, and they both called 911. She looked for Summer after calling 911, searching all around, just frantic, as you can imagine. The Hawkins County Police Department received the report at 6:30 p.m. on 6/15/2021. So that's June 15th, 2021. So that was almost 3 years ago. Candace sent her sons to the creek with walkies to look for Summer, and she also went to the neighbors to ask for their help in looking for Summer. Don got home before law enforcement got there, and he came to the realization that Summer was abducted. That was his opinion. That's what he felt. And Don works almost an hour away and still beat the cops to his property. That seems fast because, I mean, even in an unincorporated town, you think the police would get there pretty quickly for a missing child. Maybe I'm giving police too much credit. The basement has a door that leads outside, and they say that's the only door Summer could have gone out without being seen by her brothers. I also want to note there was no sign of forced entry. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, TBI, who you've been hearing a lot about lately in the Sebastian Rogers case, issued an endangered child alert on Wednesday, June 16th, and at 11 a.m., an Amber Alert went out. Kansas was taken to the police station for a polygraph, but she was unable to finish it because of her crying and difficulty speaking because, the crying and the hysterics. And she was brought back a few days later, and she passed, and so did Dawn and Candy, Candace's mom, when they took the polygraphs. It's weird to me and suspicious that some of their neighbors weren't allowing the police to search their properties. Like, some of the neighbors were like, no, you can't. Several of the neighbors were like, no, you can't search our property. And that's got to be really frustrating. Candace did express her frustration, but how are you not going to let the police search your property for a lost child? That seems so cruel. Just so cruel to me. But they didn't. There's a missing child and you're not going to allow a search. That's gross. That's just really gross. Those people are gross. If any of you ever see this who didn't allow them to search your property, you're gross. I just want you to know how gross you are. You're repugnant. Hunter, the 15-year-old friend, thought Candace was joking when she told him Summer was missing. Candace went to Hunter's house to ask him not to tell anyone she gave him a twisted tea. Of all the things to be concerned about. He said he snuck in, and I don't know if I believe this, that he said he snuck into Candace's car and snooped through her phone when he found a bunch of messages between Candace and her dealer. But I want to say here, I find Hunter very, very, very suspicious. Not that I think he had anything to do with Summer, but I think he's just being dishonest, trying to sensationalize the story to be seen or heard or something. I don't know. But I want to say here, I find him very suspicious. But it's unlikely a 15-year-old outsmarted cops in the TBI. So I don't think he necessarily had anything to do with Summer's disappearance. But he's up to something with his weird stories and stuff. But still, Hunter is suspicious. And why is a 15-year-old friends with and hanging out with a 35-year-old woman? That's weird to me. So 6 weeks after Summer went missing, CPS removed the 3 boys from the Wells home. That really doesn't surprise me. It just doesn't. It doesn't. If that makes me a judgy bitch, it makes me a judgy bitch, but it doesn't surprise. The only thing that surprises me is these children weren't removed from that house sooner. Just going to put that out there. Again, if it makes me a judgy bitch, it makes me a judgy bitch. I am a judgy bitch. But almost 100% of the time, my judgments are correct. So, yeah, I feel like they need to do a lie detector test on Hunter. He just seems weird to me. It doesn't make sense. His story is out there. And what would make a 15-year-old think to go through the mom's phone? Did he really even do that? Or is he spinning a story to get attention somewhere else? I don't know. It's suspicious. Again, I don't think he's responsible for Summer's disappearance, but I think a lie detector test and failing it would shut him up. Like, if they ask him about, have the things you told us, you know, are they true or whatever, I think failing it would shut him up. Or even the prospect of having to do one might shut him up. You know what I mean? Well, he's shut up now. This was almost 3 years ago. But still, back then, maybe. Just to get him out of the way. Because it's like, just being dishonest. So I'm not saying with my chest, with my whole chest, that he's being dishonest. I just feel like he was being dishonest. You know what I mean? But what happened in that basement? Her brother saw her alive that day. So what happened? There's been no trace of her. Her brother saw her alive. According to her brothers, well, according to the information I got, they watched her go down to the basement. So did the police, did the TBI, did anybody speak to the boys, or are they just getting hearsay from the mom? Because that can make a world of difference. And not to be offensive, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but maybe I do, I don't know. But these people, the Wells and Bly, Candace is a Bly, aren't exactly the most sophisticated people in the world. If they did something with Summer, how could they hide it for going on 3 years? I mean, again, they're not the most, we're not talking about Harvard graduates here. Again, if that makes me snotty, that makes me snotty. So I'm a snotty, judgy bitch. Now, I don't necessarily believe Hunter, again, had anything to do with it, but why is his story so different? Why are all these things in it and why do some of the things make a difference? Unless he, as a 15-year-old, was sophisticated enough to add these small details in that make it sound like Candace is lying about the facts of that day. You know, I don't know. Dawn allegedly has knowledge of the sale of children, trafficking of children, basically. And that's a point of concern. It may be just rumor, but I've been dancing around the true crime channels quite a bit, and a lot of them are addressing this. A lot of them are addressing this. And as in most cases like that, the public are suspicious of or outright blame the parents. But I mean, if you look good for doing something criminal, I mean, you look good. You look good for doing something criminal when your other 3 children are taken away from you by CPS just a few weeks after your 5-year-old is missing, you know? So, on June 14th, 2023, this was one day before the 2-year anniversary of the search for Summer Wells, the TBI released an age-progressed photo of Summer, and I will insert that here. But yeah, so I wanted to make this video because I want to keep attention on her story. I don't want anyone to forget Summer, and I want people to find these kids. Find these kids. I mean, I know we're all getting frustrated. Just children are, you know, we're supposed to protect them. And over the last couple of years, and I know horrible things have happened to children forever, it just seems really far more concentrated now. And maybe it's just because of our exposure to social media, we're seeing it more. But it's heavy on the heart. You know, a lot of people are very sensitive and care very much about people they've never met before. And, you know, like Deborah Winger said in the movie Radio, it's never wrong to care about somebody. And I care about these kids. And I know all of you care about these kids. And we just need to keep it out there. And I know there are some YouTubers that won't cover Summer Wells anymore because she's not getting the views anymore. But I think it's very important to keep her out there one way or the other. And I'd like to see some of these bigger channels cover her again, just to get this attention on her. You know, we need to find her or find out what happened to her. And me personally, I do think the parents know. I do think that. And I know a lot of people say, well, you can't just go around blaming people. I'm not blaming them. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not saying they did it. But if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's not a kangaroo. Okay? So anyway, that's it for this video. I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. And share this video, if for no other reason, just to keep Summer's name out there. Screenshot the photo, or you can go to Google and find the age progressed photo and, you know, share it with all your friends. Share it with everybody. She could be anywhere. She could be underground. She could be under their property. There are, I understand there's lots of tunnels and cave systems around that area. I got stuck in one once. That's another story. It's a story for another day. I wasn't really stuck. I was frozen in fear because I thought something was there that wasn't. Anyway, that's for another day too. But anyway, I will talk to everyone later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.